Dear faithful travelers of deep well, and our honored guests who are taking their first steps into the shadowy paths of history, welcome everyone to the grand assembly of those ancient tales that time has tried to bury under thick layers of sand, yet whose whispers can still be heard in the darkness. Welcome once again. Today we will travel far away from the cold glass towers of the modern world, from the endlessly flowing stock tickers and digital fortunes. Close your eyes and imagine a place where the scorching sun burns your skin, where endless sand dunes melt into the horizon, where the wind whispers through the grains. We are heading to the heart of West Africa. The story I am about to tell you is not merely a tale of wealth. This is an epic of immense power, unbreakable faith, and a tragic catastrophe. We will speak of a man who set out not to hide his fortune, but to display it for all to see. We will speak of a generosity so vast that in trying to do good, he brought kingdoms to their knees. History books called him Mansa Musa, but those who saw him with their own eyes called him the walking mountain of gold. If you are ready, light the torches. Together, let us descend into the darkness, into the brightest yet most dangerous period in history. Wealth. What comes to your mind when you hear this word? In today's world, wealth is often nothing but an illusion, my friends. Endless zeros in bank accounts, values written on paper. Think of Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates. We try to imagine their billions. But let me share a secret with you. When you turn the dusty pages of history, you will see that today's greatest billionaires stand merely as wealthy merchants in the shadow of Mansa Musa. Imagine a man whose wealth defies human calculation. Modern economists and mathematicians become helpless when they try to convert his fortune into today's currency. Because his wealth was not on paper or in digital accounts. His wealth was the land itself, the very gold and salt that came from the bosom of the earth. We said that one man's generosity could become the downfall of a great empire. So where did this unimaginable wealth come from? And the most crucial question, where did all that gold eventually disappear? To understand this, we must first look at the dark story of how he ascended to the throne. Every great rise begins with a void. Mansa Musa's legend begins with the terrifying secret of the previous king, Abu Bakr II. The year was 1312. Sitting on the throne of the Mali Empire, Abu Bakr II turned his gaze not to the land, but to the endless waters. What lay beyond the horizon? In an age when people believed the world was flat, Abu Bakr II wondered about the end of the Atlantic Ocean, the Great Sea. He prepared one of the largest and boldest exploration fleets in history. 2,000 ships loaded with food, water, and tons of gold. He entrusted his throne to the young Musa and, on a misty morning, set sail into the vast blue unknown. Months passed, then years. Only a single ship returned. The captain, trembling with terror, told of a massive current in the middle of the ocean that swallowed the ships forever. The ocean had devoured the king and his fleet. Fate's web was woven, and the crown passed to Musa. When Musa took the throne, the Mali Empire was still a sleeping giant. While Europe struggled with plague, famine, and endless wars in the Dark Ages, life in Africa was entirely different. Here, a mysterious system known as silent trade ruled. Traders would leave gold on the riverbank and withdraw silently, later collecting salt in exchange. No one spoke, no one bargained. Gold was so abundant that it was sometimes traded at the same value as salt, because in the desert heat, salt meant survival. Musa controlled the salt from the north and the gold from the south, filling his treasury with both rivers of wealth. In the year 1324, Musa answered the call of his faith and decided to undertake the sacred Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca. But an emperor, the King of Kings, does not set out on such a journey like an ordinary pilgrim. Preparations took many months. And when they finally departed, what people saw was unbelievable. This was not a caravan, it was a moving city, a total of 60,000 people. At the front of the caravan walked 12,000 royal attendants. They wore the world's most expensive silks and fabrics, and each carried a solid gold staff weighing 2 to 3 kilograms that gleamed brilliantly. 80 enormous camels, the ships of the desert, carried 130 kilograms of pure gold dust each, in total nearly 18 tons of gold. The caravan was so long that when Musa reached an oasis, the end of the procession was still 3 days behind. Wherever Musa passed, he left not only footprints but also his generosity. He filled the hands of every poor person he met with gold and ordered a mosque to be built at every Friday stop. After months of this legendary journey, they finally reached the gateway of civilization, the magnificent city of Cairo. Musa entered Cairo like a golden storm. The Sultan of Egypt invited him to his court. According to protocol, he was expected to kiss the ground before the Sultan, but Musa proudly refused. "I bow only before Allah," he declared. This proud stance created a diplomatic crisis. The crisis was resolved when Musa presented the Sultan with enormous quantities of gold as gifts. Afterward, Musa descended into Cairo's famous markets. He bought the most expensive fabrics and rarest spices at 10 or even 20 times their value. With the words, "Keep the change," the people of Cairo went mad with sudden wealth in a single night. But the merciless law of economics took effect. The more abundant something is, the less valuable it becomes. Musa flooded the market with so much gold that gold lost all its value. The monster of inflation had awakened. It took Egypt a full 12 years to recover from this massive gold shock. It was one of the most expensive and painful lessons in history. As Musa completed his Hajj and began his return, he brought back architects, poets, astronomers, and great religious scholars with him. Now let's pause for a moment. I want to hear from you. If you could have Mansa Musa's wealth for one day, what would you build or change? Who is the most powerful or richest person in history after him? Why? Which ruler or empire should we cover next? Drop your answers below. Now, let's continue the story. He now invested his wealth not in gold, but in stone and knowledge. He transformed Timbuktu into one of the world's leading centers of learning. He built the Jinguereber Mosque. At Sankore University, 25,000 students studied astronomy, mathematics, law, and surgery. In 1375, his image was immortalized in the Catalan Atlas, the figure of the king seated in West Africa holding a giant gold nugget. That powerful image would later inspire European explorers and contribute to the dark era of colonialism in Africa. Mansa Musa's legacy became both Africa's greatest pride and its tragic fate. Today, his wealth is estimated at over $400 billion. But the true lesson he teaches us is far deeper. Real power is not how much gold you possess, but what you build with that gold. Dear travelers of deep well, see you in the next epic story. Farewell.